In this section, we shall talk about the assumptions of post-colonial theory or post-colonialism and some of the major contributors to this particular theory. So, what are the assumptions? Assumptions means certain theoretical things taken for granted. So, the first assumption is that different cultures, because different cultures that have been subverted, conquered, and often removed from history, respond to the conquering culture in diverse ways. For example, India, the way India responded to okay, the way India responded. Am I audible now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So the way India responded to the Britishers, the British culture was the conquering culture, and India was the conquered, subverted culture. So we have our nationalist history of this period. So that is a kind of response, but that is the elite history. There are different histories. So Nicholas Harrison asserts in his book Post-Colonial Criticism, History, Theory, and the Work of Fiction. I quote, post-colonial theory is not an identifiable type of theory in the same sense as deconstruction, Marxism, psychoanalysis, or feminism. Unquote. So it is not easy to identify post-colonial theory just like the way we talk about deconstruction and Derrida, Marxism and Karl Marx, or Freud, okay, or the feminism, etc. So, like many critical theorists, Harrison sees no point in talking as if consensus about what post-colonial studies is. Means there is no unanimity, no consensus. Okay, because there are different ways of looking at the term post-colonialism. So, however, there are certain points that we can take into consideration while understanding this theory. Now, what are these assumptions? What are the assumptions of the post-colonial critics? They believe actually in the following: European colonialism did occur. This is the first assumption. Secondly, the British Empire was at the center of this colonialism. And third assumption is the conquerors, means the British and other such colonizers, dominated not only the physical land but also the hegemony or ideology of the colonized people. Not only lands, even people's mind work ideologies were dominated. So these are some of the assumptions. The social, political, and economic effects of such colonization are still being felt today. Even today, our education system, our government system, everything is under the influence of colonial period. Many times you must have heard certain people, वसाहती दृष्टिकोण आहे, वसाहतवादी दृष्टिकोण. So that is post-colonial, perspective looking at the things. So what are the things at the center of this theory? So there is an inherent tension among three categories of post-colonialists. First category is those who have been academically trained and are living in the West. This is the first category of post-colonialists. They are academically trained and they live in the West. And those who are raised in non-Western cultures, but now they reside in the West. In the first group, first category of the post-colonialist is the group of critics who have got training from the West itself and they are living in the West. Second group is those who were raised in non-Western cultures such as India, Asia, Asian countries, African countries, etc. But now they live in the West. And third is those subaltern writers living and writing in non-Western cultures. These are called subaltern writers. Subaltern means the writers who talk about the marginalized people like peasants, workers, etc. So these group. So these are the three groups of or three categories of post-colonialist uh, theory, and there is an inherent tension among these three categories. For example, on the one hand, critics such as Frederick Jameson and George M. Gugelberger, Gugelberger come from a European and American cultural, literary, and scholarly background. That is the first one. Another group that includes Gayatri Spivak, Edward Said, and Homike Baba were raised in non-Western cultures. For example, Edward Said was from, I think, Palestine. I don't remember his country exactly, but from Palestine. And Homike Baba was an Indian. Gayatri K. Chakrabarti Spivak was raised in India and later she settled in France. Okay, so the, these scholars belong to the second group. Okay, they were raised in non-Western cultures, but now they reside outside, study and write in the West. And there is another group such as Azaz Ahmed who live and work in suburban cultures. So these are the three categories, and they have differing theoretical and practical perspectives. Okay, out of these underlying tensions among the groups, post-colonial theorists and critics have and will continue to discover problematic topics. Now we shall go ahead with the first contributor, major contributor to the post-colonial theory.